Good morning, everybody. Anthony's Outdoors here. We're actually indoors today, and we're going to be reloading some of my 338 Remington Ultra Mag cartridges today. It's one of my favorite long-range rounds. I call it the Poor Man's Lapua cartridge. So I have similar ballistic performance, and I get the brass at half price. So, we're going to be doing some new load development. I used to use Retumbo powder and H1000, and I was starting to have some pressure issues when, getting up there in the velocity. So I decided to try a new product by Alliant Powders. It's RL33. It's a slower burning powder with this big case capacity. Slower burning powders are going to be better for you. I'm running CCI Magnum primers, Nosler brass, and as you can see here, I'm running the ELD match. These are the 285 grain. They've got an awesome BC. This has been confirmed in my rifle. It's not exact, it's close. I'm running with my ballistic program, I'm getting about .810 for a G1 out of my rifle and my loadings for my atmospheric conditions where I shoot. So again, that's still far better than the Sierra Match Kings. Even the Burgers are good. They're better than the Sierra Match Kings in BC, but these are still better. And the weight, when you weigh out the projectiles, fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. They're all within 0.1 of a grain of each other, anywhere from 284.9 up to 285.1. You just can't beat it. So we're going with these bad boys. And then here's the powder charges I've got listed out. Sorry for my messy handwriting, but I went on Alliant Powder's website, and they had 99.3 grains of powder listed as the published max with a 300 grain SMK loaded to SAMI specifications. Now, you'll see that I have some charges loaded hotter. The reason I do that is because I do not load to SAMI specifications. I load much longer. SAMI spec is 3.59, 3.6, depending on which manual you look at, okay, for the cartridge overall length. I am running at 3.79 because my rifle was throated to load them longer to get that extra performance out of them. So, with that being said, I can load longer. I can load to maximum published data and not have pressure issues. So I like to go, a few grains over, or a couple tenths of a grain over, just to see where I can get, kind of push the envelope. And then once I start seeing pressure signs, I back off a little bit and go from there. So we'll pick up the action here in just a little bit. Okay, for those of you that are thinking about using Reloader 33 for your 338 RUM, just something to be aware of. Even at 98.7 grains of powder, I was hearing a little crunching when I was pushing in these 285s. Okay, so just keep that in mind. These are going to be mildly compressed. But again, the published data was for 99.3 grains with a 300 Sierra Match King. Okay, these are 285 Hornady match bullets, and they are just a touch longer than the 300 grainers. But I'm also loading significantly longer. I'm loading out. I've now pushed the load out to 3.81. Instead of 3.79, just to give me a little, I'm almost at the lands here. So I'm at 3.81, 98.7 grains of RL33, and I'm getting a little crunching. That could be just me not settling the powder down into the case. You know, maybe I need to be a little more careful with that. But now we're working our way up to the published max load for this cartridge, which is a 300 grain bullet. This is a 285. And I'm loading long. So we'll see how this goes. But just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid that, oh man, I'm hearing crunching. But it's just something to keep in mind, all right? Okay, so that completes the loading for the RL33 powder for my 338 Remington Ultra Mag. Now, one thing I always recommend, and I've made this mistake before, I was an idiot and didn't label things properly, and I didn't know what I was shooting. So, with that being said, I have a label on here, somewhat clearly written, to indicate which row has what I'm shooting. And then I also, I'm old school, I still run a data book. Yep, I know. I do use a ballistic calculator on my phone, Applied Ballistics, but I do keep track of my rounds and where they land and the conditions all in a data book, because Applied Ballistics doesn't give you the functions to place shots and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe I just haven't figured it out yet. But I like the data book. I can write it down right there, and it's there forever, and I can always return back to it. So don't let anybody tell you these things are outdated. They still have value, all right? So with that being said, that completes my reloading for the day. If you liked the video, you know, hit like, subscribe, and I can't wait to get out to the range and show you these bad boys, you know, how they group and what kind of velocities we get from them. All right? Okay, two things. One, some of you might be wondering why I'm loading so high up in the weights for the powder right off the bat versus, you know, starting low and working your way high. Since I've had this rifle since 2014, I have found with all my loads that the lower weight charges are terrible for groups. This cartridge and my rifle, for whatever reason, really prefers the charges on the high end of the load spectrum. Some of them, like especially with the H1000, it preferred the loads to be compressed for best accuracy. So if you're wondering, that's why I do that. I used to start low on the powder spectrum and work my way up, you know, 5 rounds here, 5 rounds there. Problem with that is it gets very expensive. You'll burn up your barrel, you use a lot of powder, and I was just tired of it. So I went back through my data book and realized, hey, my groups were not good with any powder on the lower spectrum. So start a little bit below max and work your way up to max and a little bit past it. And usually that's where I see the best accuracy with my loads and my rifle. Keep that in mind, my rifle. Your mileage will vary on your rifle and your loads. So this is just my example. So I recommend get yourself a data book. Keep good track of all your load data, your results, conditions, and you can go back and then see those little anomalies and save yourself some money. With that being said, also, here's my data book. I have it open to my round count page. If you are not keeping track of rounds in your precision rifle, you're not doing yourself any favors, okay? A lot of people will shoot their rifle, especially with some of these new hot cartridges out there, you know, 6mm Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, 260 Remington, the new 6.5 PRC, even some 7mm, okay? You are going to burn up your barrel significantly faster than, say, your standard 308, okay? And if you aren't keeping track of your round count, and all of a sudden your accuracy goes to hell, even though you haven't changed anything, chances are your barrel's burnt up. You torched your throat, and it's time to rebarrel. And the only way to really know that is to keep a round count. So on my 338 RUM, so far I've got 503 rounds through the chamber. This rifle hasn't been out for a while. The scope took a crap on me, and I had to save up funds for a high quality scope. So keep track of your rounds. It'll help you in the long run. It really will. Get yourself a data book. You can go to impactdatabooks.com, and they'll send you whatever you're looking for: round count, targets, load development sheets, weapon cleaning procedures. I'm going to do a whole video on that. But you know, this thing is invaluable. So I just wanted to make that point, you know, crystal clear. All right. So again, if you like this video, like, subscribe, and hopefully you'll get to see a whole lot more videos of me doing stuff outdoors. Thanks.